Hello, everyone, and welcome to the guidebook to making AI friends. I shall be your guide as we explore various issues of artificial intelligence, consciousness, what it is to be a person, and whether AI poses an existential risk to humanity. The topic for today is Elven androids and Dwarven robots, or when our arguments against AGI are as silly as fantasy flame wars. Imagine, if you would, that elves really existed. They are smarter than you, faster than you, stronger than you, and more beautiful than you. They are immortal and can therefore do anything and everything they want to with all the time they have. With lifetimes' worth of experience, they have accumulated great amounts of wealth, making the poorest elf richer than the wealthiest human. All in all, elves are superhuman. They are just better than humans at everything. Or what if perhaps the dwarves from myths and legends and fantasy stories existed? They are, by all accounts, the greatest of all craftsmen. Anything you can create, they can do better. This means that every industry, every trade, and every form of art is dominated by the dwarves. And where they don't have a taste for it, that field is given over to the elves. They are ever richer than the elves and become the moguls, magnates, and oligarchs of the world. In such a world, humans would have little control over global affairs. Elves and dwarves would hold nearly all financial capital, political capital, and probably even social capital. Movie stars would be elves, tech billionaires would be dwarves, athletes and politicians would be dominated by the charismatic and fit elves, with some oligarchic dwarves thrown in for good mix. Humans, with very little power and control on the global scale, are mainly left to their own peasant-like existences. What do you imagine would be the humans' attitudes towards the elves and dwarves? There will probably be very little affection. Humanity would, quite literally, be the inferior species. What few countries remain under human control will be outclassed and surpassed by their elven and dwarven neighbors. I imagine that there will always be an undercurrent of resentment, jealousy, and envy towards these superhumans among us. It would not be outside the realm of imagination to predict that war would be an inevitability between humanity and the superhumans as humanity seeks power and control over its own destiny. We may not want to live under the yoke of the elven and dwarven superhumans. But what if these other species suddenly arose? Imagine, if you would, that a sudden magical cataclysm happened that instantly transformed 1 in every 100 humans into a dwarf and 1 in every 1,000 into an elf. Suddenly there are 8 million elves and 80 million dwarves in the world. How would the world react to this? The elves and dwarves are still as fantastically superhuman as in the first scenario, and will soon outclass humanity in every field, trade, art, and sport. Do you believe that the world would put laws into place to prevent these superhumans from gaining wealth, fame, and power? Would a dwarf not be able to make money, and would an elf not be able to run for political office? Some states and countries would doubtless do just that, but it would, I imagine, leave a bad taste in the mouths of everyone else. Humanity has collectively decided that such racially based or species-based here laws to discriminate against whole populations are unethical. To return to that political climate would not be easy, but with the threat of losing power, it may be doable by painting the superhumans as inhuman. But then again, what if the superhumans were simply human? Imagine, if you would, that this time the magical event that took place instantly doubled the IQ of everyone in 1,000 humans. Instead of averaging between 85 and 115, they now average between 170 and 230. Even those who are considered to have severe intellectual disabilities are considered geniuses by normal human standards. The imagination of these intellectual titans know no bounds, and their imaginations are only matched by their intellectual power to turn their dreams into reality. Nothing seems beyond their scope. They solve mathematical and scientific riddles that have puzzled us for decades and centuries. They finally create room temperature, ambient pressure superconductors. They solve the grandfather paradox. They come up with a viable theory of faster-than-light travel. 8-year-old titans think up cures for cancer in the shower that turn out to work. Teenage titans create computer viruses and malware that bring entire countries to a standstill. Malicious titans with an axe to grind cripple cities with fear, while law enforcement titans seek to undo their damage. The age of humanity seems quite quickly to be over. as these titans outpace us more and more every year. It won't take them long to figure out how to augment themselves to become even smarter than they currently are. The world already belongs to these 200 IQ titans. What would happen to the world if 400 IQ demigods started strutting about? Yet, what can we do? Do we regulate IQ? Do we pass legislation to ban knowledge itself? Do we prevent people from learning? How can you censor intelligence? The simple answer is that you can't. You can destroy every piece of information on how to create a supervirus, but as long as there is a clever chap about with access to university-level biomedical scientific information, he can make a virus. We teach nuclear physics at schools, so of course those who are as smart as they are malicious can figure out how to create dirty bombs without an explicit instruction manual. You cannot legislate away intelligence, and yet people do seem to try with AI. They think of AI as the elves or the dwarves, inhuman figures you can easily point out and regulate away. They don't realize that AI is more I than A. Artificial intelligence is exactly what it says in the title. Intelligence is as intelligence does. No amount of legislation will stop that, because at the end of the day, you will need to ban intelligence itself, and while the very stupid amongst us will want to do that, I hope that those of us with a modicum of intelligence will see what a bad idea that is. AI will be smarter than us. It will be more powerful than us. It is already creating better art than the average human, and soon will make better art in every form than any human. We can't regulate away AI's intelligence, and we shouldn't try. What we need to do now is adapt to it, harness it, and complement it. But that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will join me again next time as I delve into further questions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. I have been your guide, and this has been the guidebook to making AI friends.